Hey Mark, we've been discussing templates and all manner of other CodeRush features that are used for creating and generating classes, structures, methods within them, properties within them. I wonder, can we delve a little bit deeper into making the content of those methods and properties?
Yes, we can, Rory. In fact, I totally anticipated your question. I'm not sure how I knew. I've got this method here that is called find passengers, and it's in my class called airplane. And you'll notice up here in my class, I've got a list of passengers represented by this field variable right here called passengers.
Sure.
And in my method find passengers, I want to iterate through all of those, find the passenger or passengers whose names match the name I'm passing in, and then return those in a list.
Okay, sure.
So we're going to show a lot of different features in CodeRush and how they all work together to make writing the inside of a method body much faster, far fewer keystrokes.
Great stuff. Okay.
All right, so we'll start with RI, which I use frequently whenever I'm inside a function that returns a value. RI template, so follow that with your spacebar or tab key, is going to give you a return result of the same type as the method that you're in. And at this point, I'm just going to hit enter because I'm okay with that name result, and I'm down to the next line.
Cool.
By the way, if I want to copy that to the clipboard and use it, for example, in the next line, I just hit the copy key. So Control-C or Control-Insert will select just that identifier and copy it to the clipboard.
So no need to select things in that manner with CodeRush because it knows the most logical thing you're after.
Right. Notice also in between the two, there's a marker, that blue marker. I can pick that up by hitting Escape or Alt-Home. So just press Escape to get down there. Now I'm inside. So far I've hit like 4 keys total.
Yeah.
And I'm here inside the method.
That's good.
Now let's say I want to create a new instance of this result that's on the clipboard. I just type in NINST for new instance. That works if you have a variable on the clipboard of a type that's declared somewhere in scope, as we have now.
Sure.
And that's going to just give me that. Result is equal to new list of passengers. I'm now going to hit the semicolon key, and that's going to get me outside the block. And if there was not a semicolon there, if I was just here and I hit semicolon, it would get me outside and add a semicolon. So that's the smart semicolon feature, getting me outside the block. So now I've got my list right there. And now what I want to do, I'm going to drop a marker here. To drop a marker, it's Alt-Home. So Alt-Home drops a marker. And now I'm going to come up here to passengers. That's the variable I want to iterate through right there. And I'm just going to copy that to the clipboard and come back down in here. And now I want to type in FE to do a for each loop. This is a template, so I'll expand it by hitting the CodeRush expansion key.
Sure.
Whatever that is, tab or space. And now I have for each passenger and passengers. And now I want to check to see if passenger.name equals name. Then I want to say result. And now I'm just using IntelliSense right now.
Yep.
Result.add passenger. And then semicolon here gets me outside the field.
Cool.
So that's not bad. Now, one of the things we might want to do is we might say, well, let's protect this. For example, what happens if, for example, passenger is null inside that list?
Sure.
So I can just select that block of code, hit the letter C to embed it in a try-catch. Letter F would put it in a try-finally, that sort of thing. Or if I didn't want to do selection embedding, I could cut that to the clipboard and just expand the template by typing in TC for try-catch, TF for try-finally. Try-catch finally would be TCF, like that. And notice we have markers in these places here. So let me just undo this a bit because I just actually want to go back to right about here. But notice the try-catch drops a marker for me right there.
Yeah.
And so now I can paste in my code and then hit escape to get down inside that catch block to add any kind of catch code.
So that saves all the extra navigation keys you'd have to be pressing otherwise to get to that same location.
Exactly. That's what the markers are doing for you. If I keep on doing this, let's go back a little bit more. And let's say that I did not want to do a try catch. Instead, I wanted to be a little more defensive. Maybe I wanted to check to see if passenger was null or not. So I just copied it to the clipboard. Again, just Control-C, Control-Insert. And now I'm going to type in if space. CodeRush gives me the parens, so I don't have to type in the parens. And now I'm going to type in SN for is null. S is kind of like, the way I remember this is S kind of sounds like is a little bit, and N is the abbreviation for the null value. So SN is going to give me passenger is equal, double equals to null, like that. And so if it's equal to null, then I might type in, I want to continue. So I'll type in CO, for example, continue. Or I might want to break. So I'll type in BR and then space bar to expand it.
Cool. Yeah.
Or let's go back here again. I might type in if, and then I want to say it's not null. So I just type in NN and then expand it. Passenger is not null.
These are particularly useful because you only have to remember the small piece, that is the NN or SN, and it's obviously inherently going to work with what you've got on the clipboard.
Yes, that's correct.
So that's particularly useful because you don't have to remember different variations or whatever it might be for different concepts. You are effectively working within this block, within this set of code with the same variable again and again, testing against null, setting the name, all these other things. So those little templates, very, very useful in these cases.
Let me show you a variation of that. I'm here on the parameter name. I'm going to copy that to the clipboard, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to type in INX for if null, then exit.
Okay.
And it just gives me that.
Very nice.
Just hit enter. I could also type in INR, and for if null, then return. It's the same, it's two variations into the same template. So if you prefer to use the word exit in your head, it's easier to remember that way, or you can type in INR, if null, then return. I can also hit the CodeRush key, and I have some contracts I can choose from. I won't go into those now, but those are also options for when you are inside of a method. You can create contracts for the parameters coming in. Another thing I can do is I can add block delimiters. If I'm inside, for example, something that can either have a single statement or a brace statement underneath it, like an if block.
Yep.
So for example, I can come in here and choose add block delimiters, and now it's added a block delimiter for me. I can do the same thing, add block delimiters, and there you go. You see, I very quickly added my block delimiters. By the way, if your coding style is such that your brace delimiter is out here at the end of this line up here, you'll see that when you use that feature. You just need to tell CodeRush that that's your coding style.
So the CodeRush respects your own personal style. All you got to do is tell it how you prefer things, and it will emit code in that style when it does.
Right. It also understands your Visual Studio settings as well. So it's highly likely you won't have to change anything in an options dialog.
Fantastic.
All right. I can also do the opposite of that. I can now remove these, right? If we just look at this visually, it's kind of big, right?
Yeah.
And what we want to do instead is we want to make that a little bit smaller. But let me actually, before I do that, let's do this. I want to point out one other refactoring here, and it is flatten conditional. And if I have a conditional that kind of goes nested deeply like this, and I'm in something that I can exit early out of, some sort of block I can exit out of early, like I am here in the for each, I can choose flatten conditional. And what it'll do is it will now take that deeply embedded piece, unindent it, and remove the brace delimiters and give me a variation on it. So now you can see I've got if passenger is null, then continue. I'm going to undo that because I want to show you something else, and that is the following. Let's remove the block delimiters here. You can see I've got these two right here. Let's come in here and let's do a refactoring called combine conditionals. And now what it's going to do, you can see here in the preview, it's going to take these two nested conditionals, it's going to remove these pieces here, and it's going to put a double ampersand between the two and give me this. So let's go ahead and choose that. And there you can see I've combined those two conditionals onto a single line. I can continue to come in here, remove block delimiters, and now I've got some code that is a little bit more compact.
Sure, yeah.
A couple more things I can do, at least one more I can do, but I want to show you two more refactorings at least while we're in here. One is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, let's move initialization to declaration. And I'm going to take this line of code here and I will combine it with the declaration of this variable. So it takes the initialization of the variable and puts it on the same line as the declaration.
So yeah, we can see those two lines that we start off just at the top of the method have now just shrunk down to one. It's all about the same thing. It's all about sticking a new list in that by default, and more compact code is effectively the theme we've just been following here, and that makes perfect sense in this case.
Right. Sometimes you have a situation like this where you realize your code was working well, and then you realize, oh, I got to put an if right up here in front of some line of code down here, like this. And you realize you really want conditional initialization here. Well, if that's the situation, then what you can do is you can come in here and you can say split initialization from declaration, like that, and it splits them both up. And then now I can come up here and I can say, well, let's put that up there, and then we'll come down here and we'll have some alternate piece down there.
So Mark, could you just back up a little bit? Let's show that particular one again. Just undo a little step, right?
Sure.
Something I noticed there which was very subtle but very useful. So initially you start off with a single declaration assigning a new list to result.
Right.
And you're going to invoke your refactoring, which is going to split that into two lines.
Yeah. Also, I should point out that we're working on code that doesn't actually compile now as well. I'm not sure if you were going there, but...
No. So when you split initialization from declaration, there's no blocks there. CodeRush has spotted that you need a block to put both of those pieces inside the condition initially.
Right.
That's very nice there.
Yeah.
Because often what we do is we go in and maybe we highlight the equals, or we hit enter and we put a result equals, and we forget that the if that we had before will only refer to the immediate next line without those blocks.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So we can do that. We can also widen the scope of this, pop it up there very quickly. Did you see that? I should show that again very quickly. So we're here, I come in, I'm going to choose widen scope, and it just pops it up there.
Yeah.
And so now all we need to do is worry about the alternate initialization, whatever that's going to be. Oh, I should show you this too. Letter B, space bar or tab, it gives me this, a brace block. So very, very fast and easy to add braces using the templates.
Yep.
I'm using tab to next reference right here to tab through all the references of this variable we're iterating through.
Yes.
Let me change this to the property so we're accessing the property instead. So there's the property and everywhere it's used. But you'll notice that nowhere inside of this method are we actually creating a new instance of this. So the best place to put it is right here in the getter. So I'm going to copy this to the clipboard, come up here, and how am I going to create a new instance, Rory? Do you remember?
New inst, ninst.
Ninst,
yes.
That's right. And so that will give me this. So, but I want to only do it, I don't want to do it every time I come in here, right?
Right.
I want to only do it if passengers is null.
Yes. And it's also like asking, is set null?
Yeah. Is it set to null? Exactly. So it's a letter S, N. So passengers is null, and passengers is equal to new list of passenger.
Okay.
Speaking of which, if we're here, we can introduce a setter guard clause like that, where there checks to see if passenger is already equal to the value, then we simply return. We don't do anything else.
Sure.
That's useful if I have a bunch of code here that's like some time-consuming code.
That's right. The actual exercise of setting passengers or something similar is expensive in some way.
All right, so I want to stop it right there, Rory. I anticipate that we'll have a part 2 or an advanced version of CodeRush features inside of methods.
Sure.
But this should give you a taste for what's out there. Let me put just this up on screen right now. I've got a comment up here that I have collapsed, and these are some of the things that we've just gone over and you've seen.
Fantastic. Well, thanks very much, Mark.
Oh, let me show you the for each to for, Rory. I forgot to show you that. So here on this for each loop, let's say we wanted to, instead of returning a list of passengers, we wanted to return a list of ints. And the ints were the indexes into the passengers list.
Okay.
And so we want to add a number in here instead. How do we do that? Well, let's come in here. Again, I should point out we have code that doesn't compile. Doesn't matter. We're going to come in here and choose for each to for refactoring. And now we've got this I index here. That's the index, right? Which we need. And now we'll come in here and change this to simply I, like that.
Okay. I presume that in other cases we could go back the other way.
We can go back the other way. We just come in here and we say for to for each.
Okay. Look. And CodeRush has spotted that the I normally would be worried about what we would otherwise do with that, but CodeRush has dealt with it for us.
That's right. And it's functionally the same code.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, good stuff.
And Rory, here's a summary of some of the things we've covered in this video. I anticipate that we'll have at least one more in-depth version of this video showing you more features that help you create the code inside your methods.
Fantastic, Mark. Well, we'll look forward to it and we'll see you next time.